Are you ready for a sew along? Well, it doesn't matter because I'm going to be giving you both in this video. So if that's some content you would like to see, please continue to watch. All right, so let's go ahead and work on this fly. So I'm gonna try to show you as easy as possible. So the first thing we're gonna do is attach our, I'm gonna attach my, they call it the right fly. So this is pattern piece number 12. And what we're gonna do is attach that first. So what we're gonna do is with right sides together, make sure you are matching up your dot at the bottom right here. Make sure you are matching that up, and it should match up at the top as well. And you are going to pin right sides together. And one thing I want to mention is make sure you have already serged your crotch seam in order to do this. Now I do have from the dot down sewn already. All right. So go ahead and sew this down using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, and then you're going to press it to the inside. Then you're going to press it, and then I'll show you what to do next. So go ahead and do that now. All right, so now that we have the right fly sewn on, what we're going to do is go ahead and pull it out, and making sure that the seam allowance is on the side of the facing. We want to top stitch as close to on the right fly facing. We're gonna do about 1/4 of an inch all the way down. So go ahead and do that now. All right, so now that I have my right fly facing top stitch, grab your zipper, and what we're going to do is line up our zipper with the edge of that top stitching. And what we're going to do is we're going to pin on this side. So I'm just going to pin on this side of the zipper, but make sure that it's lined up. Kind of, you don't want it to go too far over because you don't want it to catch any of the stitching whatsoever, but you want to be as close as possible. I'm just putting mine like right, lining it up right with the top stitching. And then you're going to pin all the way up. So pin all the way up now. Now that I have it pinned, you could pin this side actually because you're going to be sewing on the opposite side. So I'm just going to move it over and pin this side and base down on the opposite side of the pins. So let me pin this side. And I'm going to base all the way down to that dot. So go ahead and do that now. All right, so now that I have it basted right here, what I'm gonna do is turn it to the inside. And now you could give it a press if you need to, but now what I'm gonna do is pin along that blue line, and we're gonna stitch that into place. So I'm gonna pin along that blue line that you see, and then go to my sewing machine and stitch it in place. Right. So let me pin all the way up and then go to the sewing machine and stitch it in place. All right, so let's go ahead and stitch that in place now. All right, so now that we have the line that's blue stitched in place, the next thing we're gonna do is go ahead and grab our left fly. And now what I did was with wrong sides together, I went ahead and folded in half, finished off the bottom and finished off this side edge. So what we're gonna do is put it on this side of the zipper. So basically we're just gonna put it right underneath and just basically pin with both of those lined up, making sure that you match up the dots and the notches. You want it to be even all the way across, okay? So make sure you match up those two dots that you have on your, match up the dots, and I'm going to pin, and then I'm just going to pin all the way up because all you're going to do is just baste it on. Now, before I baste it on, grab you something to mark your top with. So I'm just going to get my white chalk, and what I'm going to do is just mark right on my zipper teeth. And the reason why I'm marking on my zipper teeth is simply because when I attach this part by pressing it under 3/8 of an inch seam allowance and attach it, I know where my top portion is supposed to be, and it will lap over perfectly fine. Okay, so make sure you mark where the top portion of your shorts or pants starts. Okay, so I marked that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and baste this left fly on. Okay, so go ahead and baste that down to that dot now. All right, so now that I have the zipper basted on this side, make sure you have pressed under 3/8 of an inch seam allowance from the top to that dot. Okay, so I have mine pressed under. Now what I'm going to do is open it out, and what I want to do is match up the top with this right here, just like this, and I'm going to pin all the way down to that dot. Now just make sure you are just pinning on where the zipper is. You don't want to pin on your shorts, all right? So just go ahead and pin that now. Now that I have it pinned using 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, back stitch at the beginning, and at the end you're using a regular length stitch. So go ahead and do that now. Now that I have the left fly sewn on at that 3/8 of an inch seam allowance, what I'm going to do is open it out. If you notice, I pinned this portion over. Now what you can do, this is your personal preference. You can give it a good press, and you want to top stitch down to keep this portion as close to the zipper as possible without sewing on the zipper, all right? So what I'm gonna do is, because I've already pressed mine, what I'm going to do is definitely just pin that all the way up. So I'm just gonna pin. And I would advise you to use probably a zipper, your invisible zipper foot if you have one, or a zipper foot, just not the regular foot that comes with your machine in order to do this. You want to sew close to the zipper, but you do not want to sew on it, and you do not want to have any threads near that zipper, okay? Now what I'm going to do, now that I have it pinned, I'm just going to go ahead and top stitch close to the zipper without sewing on it. You could also open it out and get as close to it as possible, just sewing near that zipper without sewing through the zipper, all right? So go ahead and do that now. All right, so now that I have the fly front completely done, we already stitched that on. It's looking good. This is what your fly should be looking like. Next thing you're gonna do is go ahead and grab your back pattern pieces. Well, before you do that, you're gonna sew up your center back seams, okay? So what you want to do, well, before I do the center back seams, what I'm going to do is, with right sides together, we're going to do our inseams first. So have your back seam, and with right sides together, you're going to sew your front to your back at the inseam, which is this seam right here, okay? So I'm going to make sure I match both of mine up with right sides together. And definitely make sure you finish off the seam allowance to your back pattern piece with your serger at that curve. So I'm going to do mine right after I finish sewing my inseam. So go ahead and pin your inseam, matching that notch. Pin at the top and pin along your inseam. So go ahead and do that now for both inseams. Now using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance, back stitch at the beginning and at the end, and finish off your seam allowance. Once you do that, go ahead and finish off your crotch curve for both shorts, for both legs basically. So go ahead and do that now. So this is the video for Butterick 6946 and 6947. It's the same pattern, just different sizes. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you make these shorts or Bermuda shorts, whatever you want to call them, do not forget to tag me at Rochelle.Handmade.Designs. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Until next time. All right, so there you have it. That's the complete pattern review and the sew along for the shorts for Butterick 6946 and Butterick 6947. I hope you enjoyed this entire pattern review sit down with you guys, as well as the sew along. And if you make this pattern, do not forget to tag me so I can share your creation with everyone on Instagram, YouTube alike, right? At Rochelle.Handmade.Designs. And also, don't forget to hit that, and since you made it this far, do not forget to hit that like button, subscribe button. Also, smash that notification bell so you are notified every time your girl uploads a new video. So I'll catch you in the next video, and as always, keep sewing.